There's something eerie about old radios, isn't there? Mine sat neglected in the attic, a relic from a time before digital everything. One rainy afternoon, I decided to dust it off, intrigued by the idea of listening to the crackle of forgotten frequencies. I turned the dial, expecting nothing more than static, but instead, the room filled with a rich, vintage voice announcing a station I didn't recognize. The strange thing was, these stations didn't exist anymore. They dissolved decades ago, long before I was even born. Just as I was about to switch it off, the announcer's voice dropped, as if meant just for me, whispering my name. Chills ran down my spine, but curiosity kept me glued to the spot. I leaned in, trying to catch more of the broadcast, which now featured songs from an era I had only read about in history books. Each tune was interrupted by new segments that detailed events that never happened, at least not in this timeline. The announcer, with a voice smooth as silk, started recounting a story. It was about a man who found an old radio that connected with the past, a past that refused to stay buried. The more I listened, the more I realized the story was eerily similar to my own life. The announcer mentioned a peculiar incident involving my childhood home, a secret I never shared with anyone. The atmosphere in the attic shifted. The air felt charged, as if alive, and the voice on the radio grew more intimate, discussing my deepest fears and regrets. I tried to turn it off, but the dial wouldn't budge. I was trapped in the web of sound, forced to listen as the broadcast began predicting future events in my life with unnerving accuracy. The announcer's voice became a sinister guide, leading me through a maze of my own history, and hinting at a dark turn that awaited me. I felt a deep pull towards the radio, as if it held answers to questions I hadn't even thought to ask. In a final act of desperation, I yanked the plug from the socket. Silence fell, thick and suffocating, but the radio continued to play, now without power, its voice echoing in the confines of my skull. The announcer laughed softly, a sound that would haunt my dreams, and said the last thing I ever expected to hear: "It's too late to turn back now." That's when I realized the radio wasn't just a connection to the past, it was a doorway, and it had just swung wide open. As I stumbled out of the attic, the shadows seemed to stretch eagerly towards me, and I knew, deep down, that I could never escape what I had unwittingly invited into my life.